The floor belongs to Reverend Dr. Ivor Carruthers, Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference.
I am privileged to serve as the General Secretary of the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference, an NGO based in Chicago, Illinois, as well as founding director of the Center for Reparatory Justice at McCormick Theological Seminary. And on behalf of those we represent, I want to express first our profound gratitude for the pluridisciplinary
Julie, I don't hear it.
and sacrifices that those who led this effort
Should we hear
during
anything?
the first decade and into the second decade have given to the African world. The Durban Program of Action foregrounded the importance of collecting and disaggregating data in realizing our agenda, and the depth and breadth in which we see AI and the digital economy being integrated into our discourse yesterday and today attests to our collective genius and our warrior spirit. What it means to be human is changing at an unprecedented rate, signifying a need for us to factor in our deliberations an Afrofuturist imagination. Imagination is fueled by words and images that have power, and we are in a war of ideation and visualization, not just targeted at our minds, but also our spirits. We must continue to confront and name demonic spirits that are antithetical to African spirituality and notions of the divine. Thus, two specific observations and simple recommendations for consideration. One, have the courage to define and imagine the future of humanity before it may well indeed depend on our capacity to activate an African soul and spiritual agenda over the next decade. As a part of the work before us, we need focused attention to interrogate our shared understanding of the divine, not any particular religious tradition, but rather our understanding of basic spiritual, ethical, and moral pillars for a human rights framework beyond celebratory ritual. And let us remember that Bookman's liberative prayer in Haiti to a God of justice and goodness was foundational to our liberation. Secondly, please consider African youth under 29 years of age will be the dominant global force in the next decade. So as we consider Afrofuturism, we need to prioritize the creation of a strong presence of youth communities to inform and engage in the ongoing work of the decade. Thank you. Backwards never, forward ever.
Good evening. Welcome to our critical conversation this evening. We are so glad to have you. I am Reverend Dr. Susan Smith.
I'm Reverend Marcus Tabb, and together Reverend Sue and I deal with issues of the church and clergy through our Office of Clergy and Leadership Resource Development at the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. Tonight, we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and why the Black church should be aware of what it is and how it is used.
Our guest tonight is the Reverend Dr. Justin Lester. He's a young man with a deep understanding and fascination of AI. I'm just fascinated by his work. I think you're really going to enjoy him. He is a pastor, author, educator, and strategist committed to building joyful, justice-driven communities rooted in the Black church tradition. He serves as the senior pastor of Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Vallejo, California, where he is leading a multi-generational tech-forward congregation to a deeper understanding and civic impact. He's known online as that tech pastor. Dr. Lester is a national voice at the intersection of faith, AI, and Black futures. He is the creator of PastorGPT, an AI platform built to serve pastors and churches, and he is the founder of TheoX Tech, a national conference exploring theology, innovation, and emerging theology or technology. He also developed AI tools He has master classes and digital resources that equip leaders, families, and congregations to engage technology ethically and creatively. He's a graduate of Marquette University, Vanderbilt Divinity School, and the Boston University School of Theology. And like I said, he's a young brother. When I talked to him, I said, "How old are you?" So I'm just fascinated by his work. So before we begin, I want to say two things. One, we want this to be interactive, so I want you to know that we want you to ask questions and ask me to do things. We are prepared to have you do some interactive work. But I also want us, before we really start to get into the meat of this, to take just a second to pause and give God thanks for this moment. We're in turbulent times, and we know a lot of people are stressed. And it is now that our faith needs to kick in. So I just want us to take a couple of minutes and breathe and exhale. I don't know if you came into this session with some anxiety or some anger or some confusion, but we want you to let go of all of that right now. So just a couple of seconds. Okay. All right, we're going to get started. And I left out something that I think is really fascinating too, that Reverend Lester is the author of some books. The Brown Boy, is it the Brown Boy series? Is that correct?
Yeah, the Brown Dad, Brown Boy series. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so, and you'll find that information on his website, and we're going to send you resources when this is done, so you'll be able to access all that. So just getting started. Number one, thank you for being here. Thank you for
Yeah.
being here. And I want you to explain AI to our guests. And I want you to act like we're all like in the first grade and we don't know anything about it. Because you're an expert at it, and you can be like the biochemistry teacher and be putting all those formulas across the page and across the board, and because you know it. But I want you to please explain it so that somebody that really has no understanding or maybe a great amount of apprehension about it will understand.
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, good to see all you guys and to be with you in this space. So if we were to define artificial intelligence, I'm actually going to just pull up my basic thing here. And so the general classical computer science definition is the simulation of human intelligence by machines, computer systems that perform tasks that normally require human thinking. So that's learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, language understanding. It's much bigger than generative AI, right? So generative AI is the stuff that you see nowadays. We're making videos, making writing papers, proofreading things of that nature. To me, I want to put it like this. The way I love to define it is AI is a digital intern who knows everything, reads everything, works 24/7, but still needs my prayer life and my people skills to make it work, right? I asked my own AI tool, what is it about me that you can never replace? What is it about me that you can never do? And it said something powerful that I want us to see is you will always be the teacher. I will always be the student. Our fear mongering around this when it comes to artificial general intelligence and artificial superintelligence, we can get into a little bit later. I think is what makes this bigger than what it is. This stuff was made to help us do math and to build computer systems. And now, because of just access and costs, now we can use it to, multimodal AI to make images and videos and word processing. But this stuff was made for math and computer systems at first. So it's just really the assistant of humans. So I want us to think about AI as an assistant and not as a replacement tool, right? I think our issue is we have to see how can this stuff make us irreplaceable instead of how can it replace us. So in general, it's the ways that we can do things with computer systems and we can reason, we can learn, we can problem solve, and but we still needs us to make it work.
Excuse me. So that's good to know. It's still kind of scary to me, and I don't know why. It seems like, I don't know, maybe I've seen too many movies, little robots walking around talking and doing things. If someone said to you what I just said to you, I'm still kind of afraid of it. What would you say?
That it's still scary. Yeah, I mean it's understandable. And I think it's amazing. I think I told you in our first conversation that Dr. Proctor raised this in a sermon he preached back in the 80s on personhood in the computer age, right? And how anything that's new is going to be scary, but that's just the curve of innovation, right? But I think we're at a point now we're no longer early adoption. It's essential adaptation, right? So it used to be, what is it? The innovators, early adopters, all that type of stuff. We're beyond early adoption to essential adaptation. This isn't going anywhere. And I love this stat. So in the first 15 minutes of the average person's day, you're using AI 17 times, right? In the first
Wow.
15 minutes of your day.
Wow.
And that's not just generative AI. So there's a much larger picture of artificial intelligence, and that larger picture gets into like the four lanes, if you will, of AI, and that's machine learning, neural networks, deep learning, and generative AI, right? So you go the larger picture of artificial intelligence, you're using it, whether it's the adaptive lane change in your car, the light in your bathroom that you didn't turn on that automatically turned on, the your phone that automatically picks whether or not the temp, like how bright your background on your phone is going to be, to the pictures that help that you edit, or the pictures that automatically edit, to the filters on your phone, the stuff that lights up brighter when you walk in or goes down dimmer, like all these little things, your refrigerator, your thermostat, that you don't think about, all the ways that the human brain has been decentralized, right? And that's the way when we should look at AI, generative AI is literally just a small part. And to tell you the truth, for those of you who are on this call who are just logging into some sort of like large language model, I've been at conferences and talked to some of these companies. The money is no longer in large language models. The money is all towards artificial general intelligence. And we that's where we get, I think, this conversation in terms of like where our preaching and teaching ought to be. Knowing the people who are building this, their mindset is not about whether you're fearful or not. The mindset is, how does this extend the life of humanity with this massive movement called transhumanism, which is a whole nother part of this. So our fears of it, we're going to get left behind or trampled over because there's too much money. And with the current administration, our fears are just going to have money go to different spaces. 72% of the people that work in this stuff are white, Asian, and male. Our people aren't in it. 3.7% of the entire tech workforce are our folks. So fear can't be our future. It's not something God gave us anyway. So I think there's a healthy resistance so that we can educate ourselves, juxtaposed to fear to run away from it because it's not going anywhere.
That's a good answer. I remember some of us felt a little bit of consternation when the internet came out, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was scary because it was different. And I always joke around and say I always know old people because they never let go of their AOL email address. They kept it at AOL.com. But so this is the thought that it would help. What you said to me, or I heard it or read it someplace, that you said that AI is teaching people how to be human. What-
Jeez, you found something deep. Yeah, that probably was old. No, it is. And one of the reasons I say that too is, so as a pastor, I use this on a regular basis. I'm unashamed of it. I've taught every one of my staff members to use it. We have multiple agents that work for us 24/7, so that I can be a better pastor. I did not go to school to email balance budgets. I didn't go to school. You guys saw all the schools I went to. I went to Marquette. I went to Marquette for marketing and UX. I went to Vanderbilt for divinity. I got a master's in marketing and public relations, and then I went to Boston University, and that's where I focused on gamification. But I went there for transformational leadership in the local church, right? So everything I've done is on church. I did not go to school to email, to balance budgets, to build a team, to hire staff, to fire people, to do all. I didn't go to school for it. So as my church expanded, this became a need because our finances did not meet the amount of people we had. So we needed to do more pastoral care. We needed to do more. We had to send more communication. We had to engage more people. Social media was evolving. COVID was over. Like all these different things. So AI became an essential way to ensure the work of the church is not on the back of 3 or 4 people that we were able to pay. And so this has expanded our territory. And so it allowed me to be a better pastor because I'm in schools more, I'm at meetings more, I'm among our people more, because the basic mundane stuff. So I have an automatic email responder, right? That responds to all my emails, a tool called Lindy. And I set it up. We have images that are automatically created. My research for my sermon, I built a tool called PastorGPT for Black pastors. That is the one. I built it intentionally based upon things that I learned at Vanderbilt, things that I learned at Boston University. So it has Floyd Thomas and Anderson Anderson and Cone built in it so that when I do the research for my sermon, it's not whitewashed. It's not colonized, right? And so I built these things to literally to make me have a Sabbath. So today I can show you the research for my sermon is being done so that I can get the foundational work for next week, but I can't see it till tomorrow because I built an agent to do my research on Mondays so I can start working on application on Tuesday. So I became a better pastor because I was able to take off my plate the stuff that I don't care about doing. I hate email. Like I don't know a pastor who likes emails, but I do like visiting my members. I can't stand unnecessary meetings. That could be an email. But I send my avatar to the meetings for me to take notes because they're pointless. But I do love being on the ground with my people after worship. So it just made me a better leader because now the things that are mundane I don't need to do. The things that take away from my gifting I don't need to do. I'm not gifted to email. I am gifted to communicate. And so now that's allowed me to do. And so I that's my challenge to pastors. This is bigger than a TikTok and this is bigger than sermon writing. And I think our issue is we've dumbed it down to the unessential, ridiculous things. If you take all this stuff we talk about tonight and go make a TikTok video, you've wasted your time. And if you take all this stuff that we're talking about tonight and just think about a way that you can cheat through Sunday and do your sermons on Saturday, you've wasted your time as well. It's forced me to wrestle with God because if this stuff replaces your time with God, you got a whole bunch of other problems that we got to have a conversation about.
That's fascinating. So you're in Vanderbilt Divinity School, and most of us in seminary are thinking about exegesis and ethics and all that kind of stuff. And you're thinking about artificial intelligence. How'd that come about?
I'm a futurist, so hearing about Afrofuturism, so I've been a futurist. So I've been on this kick for years. So back when Facebook was like everybody did a year for Faithbook, right? Like I've been on this tech stuff for years. That's just who I am. Like I built my first website in middle school, right? It was a church that hated it, but I built it. We built it back in middle school because this is who I am. Like I build websites for fun. I used to. I don't do it anymore, so don't ask. But I used to build websites for fun and just I enjoyed all this type of stuff, and I always was curious about. So my research at Vanderbilt, shout out to Juan Floyd Thomas who encouraged me to not give up on it. I was playing with Du Bois's double consciousness, and I suggested something called trifling triplicity. That social media added a third layer of barriers to identity for Black people in white America, right? And so I kept trying to see how the social media stuff that's built for you to be addicted, like it's made for you to be addicted to it, right? So like it is made to feel like you're smoking a pack of cigarettes. And I was curious, how does the church not only break that, but utilize it in the right way and create the right community? Unfortunately, it was shaking the broom tree and people thought you were crazy. And so it's the same thing now, shaking the broom tree and it still seems really crazy. But that's where all this came from, where I've always been a futurist. I sit in the office of prophet. I'm not like a fake one and I'm not asking for money, but God allows me to sense the future and the future is a memory to God. And so to that end, that's where I've always been passionate about this work and how we aren't scared of stuff that's inevitable, but then how we also bring our culture to it. Because the fact is, our techniques as Black people are a form of technology that a lot of these white companies have just taken and made into something. So like think about TikTok. All the most popular dances on TikTok are made by Black creators, right? Think about the community that's made on Facebook. It's a copy of what we used to do on Black Planet and MySpace. Think about all the ways that you see community and Web3 happening in terms of insulated spaces where people honor community. They're copying what Black people did. It's the same reason like Ruha Benjamin in her work talked in the race after technology. She talked about how really it's the laziness of white folk that want to get these robots so quickly because they just really, really want to get back to what slavery was. They're so lazy. They need someone to do their work for them. And that's where we come in. So then now when we revolt against them, we're like, hey, man, we're not your robots. They can't stand us. So what are they going to do now to those who are Latinx? Let's get them deported. Why? Because you're not being our robots. And that's this race for robot. I mean, there's so many little underlying things. And so I've been passionate about this for years. And so I hope that you guys don't think I'm too crazy, but I mean, there's some stuff I could tell you coming out of the line that I don't have an NDA on that is scary. Because the goal of this stuff is not so you can make funny cat pictures and write papers. The goal of this is to extend humanity beyond our death date. And that's transhumanism. And when we grab a hold of the fight is not the data centers, the fight is not water. Like I'm gonna give you this on water and I'll shut up. You have more water in a hamburger for one person than every person on this call using ChatGPT for an entire week. So this whole water narrative
Yeah.
is ridiculous, but we
Really?
use it to fearmonger to get us to not use this stuff. And you know who is? Like the number one demographic using AI right now are Gen Z, Black, and Latinx folks. Number one demographic. White men and white women are not using it as much as our Black folks are, but they are building it, right? They're building it and we're using it. And so I want to reverse that, that we are too brilliant to not be the builders. We have to be brilliant enough to be the builders and know that we are. But if we continue to be fearful of it, the data centers and the water, yeah, man, they'll keep gentrifying our communities and they'll keep kicking us out and they'll move us back into a space they don't want us to be, build a data center and pay people $400,000 a year to be in our community and raise taxes and move our seniors out, and we'll sit here and still be preaching sermons about how bad it is. I think it's a challenge for us to see that the mission field is not going over to Nigeria and the mission field is not going to South Africa. The mission field is Austin, Texas, and San Jose. That God has called us to be prophets in this hour as well. So
I am so sorry. I'm throwing a question to you from Robert Simmons, and I'm gonna just go let this puppy out. But Robert Simmons says that what he worries about is that all this technology will make our kids less inquisitive, research focused, and lack of fundamental critical thinking. Can you speak to that? And I'll be right back. I want to start out. Sorry.
that is a great question. And yeah, so it's actually called metacognition. So if you look up the terming of metacognition, metacognition is that where we're offloading our brains into these tools and not thinking. And I think that's going to be a challenge in this era, because we're really good at shortcuts right now. So what does that mean for kids? Kids are using it, but so we have to make sure they're using it well. So my church is a robot. If I was at my office, I'd show it to you, but we have a robot, and our robot helps our kids during children's church and greeting people. We have whatchamacallit, there's ways to use this to train. And so most of these tools now are infusing study opportunities. And I think I can share my screen, but let me just make sure I can find it on here. But so whatchamacallit, so in Claude, for example, Claude EDU in college, they have a Claude EDU function where it helps students study. ChatGPT just infused their study function where it helps people study. So it won't just give you answers, it'll ask you questions. I built a tool called PastorGPT for Black pastors that will not write your sermon for you, but it'll help you write the sermon, to ask you the right questions. This is where humanity is going to have to get over shortcuts. But capitalism says just race to make money, break things on the way. And so I think this is a mindset we have to break, which is why when I teach this stuff to people, it's always about mindsets first. AI in the wrong mindset will kill you. AI with the right mindset will make you a millionaire. And so I think it's going to be study modes. I think it's going to be our ability as parents to steward this well and then to build our tools. So if you're fearful of it, the cool thing is there's a tool like Lovable, or a tool like Replit, or a tool like Rourke where you can build your own tool for your children. So my son has one. I have a game tool that we built for him to study. So if he's going to use his phone, I built a game for him in Claude for him to study his work for whenever his teacher gives him. I upload it to my Claude. It builds a tool for him to study so he can play his games. He can be on his phone. He can engage because he's on his phone all day at school anyway. He can be on his phone. He can engage and still use artificial intelligence to teach him something. And I also think, now this is a bigger conversation that we probably don't have time for. Education is going to be overhauled. I really do. And this is not me like getting crazy. This is me sensing the future. It has to be more than writing 30-page papers with a bunch of sources because I can show you two tools that can do it untraceable. I think education is going to have to be soft skills or human skills. We got to learn how to talk to people again because we've been on our phones for so long and COVID didn't help. We got to learn how to shake people's hands. We got to learn how to have the communication skills. Our kids don't look people in the eye. To me, that's a bigger issue than whether or not they use AI. And so metacognition is bigger than the AI tool. It goes back to like 6, 7 years ago when our parents got tired of the kids, myself included, and gave them a cell phone. And now they're hunchback leaning over to their phone and don't know how to catch a football. I think we got a bigger issue for our churches to teach them soft skills on how to utilize being human again. I think that's going to be the currency for the next 10, 15 years.
That's very interesting. There's a book by Jeremy Rifkin called The Third Industrial Revolution,
Hmm.
and this is what he's describing. This whole venture from where we were into this whole cyberspace thing, and it does require it's scary. In one sense, I keep using that word, but people are losing their jobs. People will lose their jobs, and so
So I'll tell you this. So AI is going to take about 600 million jobs. It is. And that's not me fear mongering. That's just me telling you AI is going, like, I haven't hired anyone else in my church because I built an AI tool to do the job of a
Wow.
marketing team. It's also going to create 900 million jobs. And that's why I want to hold intention. It's going to
Okay.
lose 600 million.
Okay.
It's going to create 900 million.
Mm.
72% of the people getting those jobs are white, Asian, and male. So that's where I'm saying there's a great opportunity for our people. So my community, we have a very, very bad sex worker problem, right? I mean, in front of elementary schools, we have churches, like myself included, that literally hold up banners in front of the students on playgrounds because they find safe havens near schools and are half naked in front of like 5-year-olds. It's really bad.
Mm.
We have a very bad pothole problem. And the school board just came up with an AI policy that's writing kids out. I was like, our issue is that our churches are so loud on prostitution and potholes that when policy comes out that's dictating how these kids are learning for 8 hours a day, we get really silent. This to me is where I think we have to speak up, especially now. So I'm about 35 minutes from the crux of all this stuff. So everything NVIDIA to OpenAI to Salesforce to Meta to, and I have members of my church who work at these spaces about 35 minutes to the main crux of it. Like I could literally jump in my car and drive to Facebook or Meta right now, or I can jump in my car and drive to Apple right now, right? So the opportunity now is to ensure that these companies are not just giving us money and dictating what we do, but that
Mm.
we are building, we are making sure that we're encouraging people to be engineers, computer science majors, to do deep research on this, not just for the practical sides of it to be the theory, but the theoretical sides of it and to be the builders of these tools. The question Proctor raised in his sermon at Duke was who's building the computer back in the 1980s. He said,
Mm.
I'm all for computers, but he said this, and I love it. He said, but who's building it? Because if we're just having anyone build this,
Mm.
it'll be really great to use. So my question to us, like to pastors, is we spend so much money on ordination services
Mm.
and worship services, but we get grants that are dictated by these organizations for tech stuff. This is a problem to me, right? So we were up for a grant for Snapchat at my church, and I canceled it because I saw what Snapchat wanted us to do. And I said, if I'm going to spend all this money on somebody who can preach for 35 minutes, I can spend more money on making sure my team knows how to code. So we do free Python training and free drone training at my church. We build websites with people at my church because we realize that the average person, if you are a beginner level understanding of Python, your income is going to increase in California an average of 12 to $15,000. So I can spend 5 grand on a preacher, or I can spend 5 grand on 3 engineers teaching my people how to increase their income so we can increase our impact in our community to increase now more people that it won't be 3.7% that are working in these fields, but it'll be more people that look like us building the tools that we use. You're using it, even if you never log into ChatGPT. I really don't care if you don't. You are using artificial intelligence every single day, whether you like it or not. And to that point, it now becomes, are we going to encourage the builders or do we just want to have really good church service?
Is that going to be a hard thing for the Black church to get through? I mean, do you think we are wedded to okay, I've always said that, especially when COVID had hit, I said, church as we know it has changed. Um, we're in the 21st century, and most of us, have done church and do church like on an 18th or 19th century model, and if something was required different when we had the 21st century. Is this going to make that trudge more difficult? But people going to be more resistant to that? Do they want to? You find that people just want to hold on to what they've always known? You said all our churches look the same.
They do. Yeah,
Yeah.
nostalgia is our worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it holds us hostage. It's a beautiful place to visit. It's a terrible place to live.
Hmm.
And it's a safe place too. Like think about this week, right? Think about what you like you said at the very beginning. Think about the week for black churches. I got up on Sunday and I felt bad that I didn't wear a robe and clothes hard because I knew my people needed something safe. Like I felt bad after worship. Like I told my wife, I said, like, I probably needed to give people the classic black church experience yesterday. Like I called out power, we called down the system, we challenged the empire, we called out the foolishness of black churches having a moment of silence for this dude, like all of that. Like we did all of that. And I felt bad because I'm like, I didn't give them like we need a safe environment because we're troubled everywhere, right? Like being black in America is just dangerous. And so we need a safe environment. And it's an ever evolving institution as well, right? The gospel is the same, the organization continues to evolve, and Jesus ain't surprised by none of this stuff. So I do think it's going to be a hard turn. Like I'll tell you this. So I have like I said, you saw my bio. I have a multi-generational church. We have all 6 generations in our church. I brought my robot out for the first time. My babies loved it. Oh, it was amazing. You know why? Because Bluey has a robot friend
Right.
and SpongeBob has a robot friend, right? It's funny. My son is 8. He thinks it's the coolest thing because my son builds robots for fun at school. I help their school build robots. It's a private white school, which I can get a whole nother conversation because the black schools, public schools won't let me in, but the private white school will. And my son builds Lego robots for fun. He wants to be a Lego designer. Awesome. My millennials thought I was crazy. My boomers, pastor, that thing's going to hell. It's a demon dog. My Gen Xers, they just don't talk. So Gen Xers, y'all need to talk more. And then Gen Z, they just took pictures of it for their TikTok because their church is cooler than somebody else's church, and we have a robot and you don't, right? So it was just interesting to see the different generations how they responded to it. And so my own generation thought I was crazy, right? But their kids thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So do I think the church has to evolve? Absolutely. Do I think it needs to evolve at the rate as everybody else's church? No. I'm in California. My members build this stuff. So I'm using it because they built it. Do I think the church in Midland, rural Texas? No, because they don't even have Wi-Fi yet. So I think the challenge for us is to think about like half our members still go to the library to use the computer after church. We got
Mhm.
to think about getting laptops for their kids. Half our members are going to like just I think it was Black Churches for Digital Equity, the work that they're doing, talk about the importance of laptops and Wi-Fi. So as much as I'm like AI, 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 I think it's important. I think our churches are going to need to evolve. I think it's going to hit us eventually. And it starts with like when we did Python training at our church, the first thing we did was buy every person who needed one a computer because we realized that some people still were going to the library. So we got them a laptop. Then we realized some people didn't have Wi-Fi. So when we got them Wi-Fi, in COVID, the church I pastored in Rhode Island, we bought seniors iPads so they could watch worship because half of them didn't have Wi-Fi. These are the questions to ask as the larger tech question if we're talking, generally beyond just like, using these tools. Some people still don't have access to the internet. They're still using their house phone, and that's okay. And I think the church can stand in the gap for that the same way you give out food, the same way that we give out clothes, the same way we give out toys for Christmas, man, that same cost can go to get 10 iPads or get a grant for 20 computers to distribute to seniors or to the poor in our community. Like it wasn't the senior citizens like a couple months ago that needed computers. It was people in their 40s and 50s
Yeah.
that just needed a computer. And it's amazing
Wow.
to think that like,
Wow.
we're making these cool images and your pastor's got a robot and my members didn't have a computer. So I'm talking like, why don't y'all use ChatGPT? Because I don't have the internet. And so that's where the conversation becomes like really looking at justice and equity in our communities fully. I know there's a lot of battles we're fighting, but and so then think about it, right? And I'll shut up, but think about like if they don't, what are they accessing? So they're accessing basic news. And then if you're tuning into the Foxes or tuning into TBN, like I went into a member's house and she was listening to Jimmy Swaggart and the
Mm.
stuff I heard on there, I was like, sis, like I preach to you every Sunday. I know you're not listening to Jimmy Swagger, but she had basic cable, basic, satellite, whatever, and you're gonna get Swaggart and Hagee and MacArthur. Well, then, yeah, you're gonna think my sermon's a little weird when I get up and I'm preaching a very black book, and you listen to Swaggart all week, but that's 80-year-old members who don't have Wi-Fi and still got their house phone. So it's a larger thing, that I got a lot of stuff in my head on it. Hope I'm not too all over the place, but I don't get a chance to talk about this too much. Beyond just like practical stuff. We can get practical too if you want to, but
No,
yeah.
well, yeah, there's just a lot. The more you talk, I can see the branches, all the things that we could be talking about. When you were talking about that, you were talking about how in your church, some people that you might have had on staff, you don't have on staff anymore because the AI can do it. And I was thinking that in some churches, it might be that some of the staff are cut down and that money could then be used for something else that could help the ministry along. I mean, that's just something that I thought about as you were talking. But
So I'll give you this though on that point. So staffing, so reskill, cross skill, upskill, right? And let me share my screen really quick. Let me share my
okay.
screen. So Microsoft came out a while ago with their work trend index, and I want to give you guys this really quick. So there's a lot of operational shifts that I think are about to happen inside of the local church, and let me share this with you guys. Um, so Microsoft came up with a work trend index. They said that whatchamacallit, they serve. Can you guys see my screen?
I can see it.
Okay, so every year Microsoft releases this, and they said 75% of employees are already using AI. 60% of workers say it saves them time. 78% say they won't hire someone who doesn't know. So they suggested
Wow.
that we're going to build frontier firms. And frontier firms for Microsoft are this. Frontier firms are saying that it's not just a tool, it's a teammate, and that's a big deal. I'm going to get to
Wow.
something on churches. Leaders don't hire for experience, they hire for agility and fluency. So I would suggest I don't go to seminaries to look for people to hire at my church. So we're making 3 hires in the next 6 months. There's churches I've been consulting with that are making hires. We are not going to divinity schools or seminary schools. We're going to the engineering schools and the business schools because we need agile leaders, church adjacent leaders, right? And then lastly, companies who don't adopt are falling behind, because I put here, it's not adoption, it's essential adaptations. So they said that we suggest frontier firms. My suggestion to churches on staffing is frontier churches. And here's a frontier churches. Frontier churches is one that recognizes that AI and digital tools are not threats to you, but they're theological and practical opportunities. So here's what they do. There's 4 stages to it. Number 1, AI is not a side tool, it's a staff member. I want you to see AI as your assistant. All right. I want you to see AI as your assistant. So it's not just something you go to look at and hide. It's something you were open about. So I would suggest, and I have one on my website in my master class, but I give you an AI policy to put in your bylaws. So 2 years ago, we added up AI policy to our church bylaws. People
Wow.
thought it was crazy. Then now it's like freaking genius, and I'm just giving it away now. So there's a policy essential. If you go to my website, jrlester.com/jobs, I give you 5 job descriptions to use at your church. Think about an think about a ministry architect, not a ministry connector or minister, but an architect, somebody who can help frame the scaffolding of your ministry, who grabs vision and applies it, right? It's not a tool, it's a staff member. Number 2, you hire learning leaders, not church babies. What I recognize about church babies as a church baby is we want to have church, and we're going to do everything really good to have really, really good church. And then Monday comes, and then it's like, now we're teaching you on soft skills and the skills to like email and follow up with people. I believe even seminaries have to think about, like, I'll tell you guys this too. I was New York Times had an article come out a couple of months ago that talked about how these tech firms are looking for chaplains. And I told one of my colleagues that teaches at a seminary, I said, I think we need to think about not just sending people to hospitals and sending people to funeral homes. We got to think about, like, how are we sending people to these tech firms for the people who are building the code for your maps that you use for traffic? Like, this person tells you how to get around traffic, and they need someone to engage with. I think chaplaincy is going to evolve, and I think that also means the church will too. Number 3, it hires AI learning, runs AI learning labs. So like, this is a space where we can learn about it. So my church does this on a quarterly basis. I travel and teach this to churches everywhere on like what this is, because I'm gonna tell you this: ChatGPT was founded in 2016, but artificial intelligence has been around since 1919, interestingly enough. And then lastly, it disciples for a digital world. I want to tell you this: the people who chose to watch your church online chose for you to be their online pastor. They're not lazy. They're choosing to not be in community in person. They're choosing to be online. And so if we beat them up, let me tell you what they're going to do. They're going to find a church that gives them the Today Show online. So disciple digitally. So my steps to you, my challenges on that, and I'll stop talking about this stuff, but like, you got to conduct a digital audit. Train your team, not your marketing team. So I always get thrown the marketing team and the media team. The human relations, legal, and communications teams are the ones that need this. If you don't have it, hire it. Volunteer the marketing stuff. Hire your structure. Like, get that second level right. HR and communication. Do a faith in AI series. So I'm doing a bunch of these for spaces like AGI and AI, all of that. And hire for agility, right? Reskill, upskill, cross skill. So reskill places that are weak, cross skill into places where people are doing it adjacent, and then upskill. Make sure they're always reading. Like, the questions I'll ask my staff is like, what's the last book you read? Where's the last place you traveled? And what is the last thing your champion told you? We can make sure they're learning, because the moment my staff stops learning is the moment my organization stops growing. And so AI to me is all about thinking, and not just the doing. Now, the doing is fun, but it's thinking. And if we think differently, then we can apply AI to accelerate our good thinking skills. But if not, I mean, you can put lipstick on a pig all you want to. I'm gonna tell you this: you can use AI to help you write a sermon, but if you couldn't hoop before you used AI to write a sermon, you're not gonna be able to hoop after AI writes a sermon for you. So now it's looking at your culture, your structure, your team, and hire for that.
That's good. There's a question here. Charles Sharp asks how important, I think it's kind of related to what you just said. How important is cultural knowledge and understanding in the ethics and morality as AI is learning? in machine learning examples provided are a key feature. So how important is cultural knowledge?
Oh, it's so important because if not, as we get into algorithmic bias, right? That's where we get into encoded bias. It can be really bad. That's why it's so important to have our culture a part of it, and so important for like if you go ask AI to talk to you like using Ebonics or using slang from a certain area, it's so stereotypical and racist. Because the people building it don't look like us, and so that's why I
Mhm.
think it's so important to have our data a part of some of these things and to build your own stuff. Like it's really like right now, anything is you can make anything, build your own stuff, not just sell it, but give like I give away so much stuff because I just want people to use this stuff, but build it, utilize it, train it, engage it as much as you feel comfortable. But also know that these tools are being built and they're not like it wasn't until a couple months ago that Google didn't make most black people not look like they're Middle Eastern. Like we just started looking black like 6 months ago on Google, because they were referencing the Middle East whenever it came to black people. It was really sad, but I think it's vital for us to be a part of this, a part of the conversation and the change. I'm tired of conversations when we need to be building things to ensure that we're a part of the future.
Wow. Gail Henderson asks, is there anything to be concerned about with regard to Chat GPT sharing our conversations and writing in questions with the government?
Oh yeah. So let me tell you something. I'm gonna show you all this really quick. So I don't know how, well, I know Samuel W. Proctor's conference. I didn't vote for this man. Some of y'all did though. I don't know who did, but your friends did. And I'm so mad at them. Y'all put this orange man in this office. This is what's happening.
Mm,
So he took the guardrails off. And so Biden had some guardrails on artificial intelligence. To be very clear, let me take this down and come back again. Biden had some guardrails on artificial intelligence, right? It was going to be slower, it was more methodical, it was plodding along, because we wanted to make sure it was safe, people were guarded, there was privacy. The man y'all voted for, I didn't vote for him, but the man y'all voted for took all the guardrails off because of money, and he wants to outpace China. That's the goal. Everything is to outpace China. He took all of the guardrails off. And so, yeah, it's not just ChatGPT, it's Claude. Claude, I don't know if you noticed, recently added something to the privacy feature where you have to check to say you don't want your stuff used. If you don't check it, your stuff is being used. Every one of these tools, as much as they're open or closed source, every one of these tools is your data is unfortunately out there. And that's not just chat or Claude. That's your phone, that's your Facebook, that's everything. That's your thermostat. I mean, your thermostat's data, unless you log back in and check it, is being shared for how you use it. And I know that sounds silly, but the same thing for your car, the same thing for your cell phone. Like if you don't turn off certain stuff on your phone, it's being used because all the guardrails on the evolution of AI is gone to make money. And that's why
mm,
his second day in office, he met with all the leaders of these large tech companies. Last week, 2 weeks ago, he had a meeting again with all the leaders. Like Mark Zuckerberg was trying to tell him, like crazy Mark was like, "Hey man, we should probably slow down." And then Nvidia broke $3 billion and no one cared anymore because money is trumping the people you're supposed to serve as privacy. So I'm gonna be really clear about this. It was better under the former president. This stuff really, really shifted. But I'll show you this really quick. So there's a 28-page AI action plan that came out in July. And here are the four big things I wanted to bring up for our people. The first one is there's billions of dollars for big tech. So these data centers and projects on federal land are going to get massive subsidies and fast track. So all these data centers you're seeing getting built, all these like lobbyists and people coming into cities, like this stuff is going at a rapid pace. Number two, there's I put here communities are being left out. There's no funding in this plan for expansion of broadband systems. There's no funding in this plan to teach AI, and there's no funding in this plan for job equity in underserved spaces. So think about most of our churches, think about most of our communities, most of our people. There's no money to make sure that they know how to use it. It is funding a very white movement. Number three, this is ideological bias clause. I thought was very interesting. So I wrote here, government contracts will prioritize AI tools deemed as neutral. Now I want to be very clear. They say neutral. When you read the plan, it's not that it's neutral, it's that it's conservative. I built a tool called PastorGPT. PastorGPT's goal is to help Black pastors teach and preach and do guest follow up for Black people, right? Very, very clearly. It's built on a very Black liberation lens, like the stuff that I preach every single week. They said that under this plan, when it's put in action like fully, they probably would cancel my tool, because it's not neutral enough, right? That's what I'm saying about like this clause of sidelining the models that are grace forward, equity forward for people, and justice forward. And then lastly, global power play. We want to beat China. That's it. The goal is to beat China. We're going to make sure we have allies to beat China in the race for AGI. And he doesn't care who he has to sacrifice in the process. And so this is me shaking the tree again. When it comes to this, yeah, there were better guardrails until recently because money and China. And that's just the honest to God truth of what's going on right now. So to your privacy part, yeah, I suggest churches, there's a couple things I would suggest churches do or your organizations do. I would get open source models onto a local server. And that's what we're doing at our church. Local model like ChatGPT OSS and put it onto a server at your church. So it's not on the internet, but intranet, right? I would highly suggest doing more internal server. I think that's gonna be the move the next like 4 years, to get your models from the internet to a local server with your own knowledge base so that now all your church data is done offline instead of online for privacy's sake, for members' sake, for your own sanity's sake. I think that's going to be the move the next 4 years, but there's a whole lot of steps to get there. And that's where like hiring is going to be different because you need an engineer on your staff that's going to be able to maintain this stuff for the future. So I'll stop there.
What is Claude? What is that?
So here, let me do this. Do you mind if I talk about tools really quick? I'm sure
I
people.
don't mind.
Okay,
I
let me
really don't.
jump in. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you guys my tech stack. So this is the juice that here we go. Tech stack. So if you're gonna use AI, let me explain this. So you need a foundation layer, and actually, let me go back here. Let me go back. So here are the things I want how to get started with AI, and that's where Claude comes in. So if you're going to use artificial intelligence, the first thing is understand basics of it. So that's your thinking skills. I kept saying like thinking. Knowing your culture, knowing what you wanted to use it for, and then filter news. So like if you go to jrlester.com/toolkits, I have a whole toolkit section for you. I have stuff I built that you guys can use and play with and to help you prompt and all of that. I have a Discord. If you look up That Tech Pastor, there's a Discord. Be in a community with other people who are doing this stuff as well. So understand the basics of AI. Get in a community where people are. Even if you're not using it all the time, just have access to a community. Number two, I would challenge you to experiment with these tools. So there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. I'll go over them in a second, but experiment with them. And that's where I'm saying build your tech stack intentionally and thoughtfully. And I'll go over a tech stack. Learn basic prompting skills. So you don't need 50 AI tools. You don't. You need like three, and I'll go over the three you can use, but you pick them. But that's where prompting is going to change the game for you. And then lastly, follow communities and apply to everyday life. So I would challenge you to use it 30 minutes like a week or 30 minutes a day just to play with it, have fun with it, build something, get used to it, train it. Like think about it like a bad kid. You got to train it, you got to teach it, right? And then the question I put here, what are the tasks you want to do any longer? Give those to AI. So here's my tech stack, and I want to explain this tech stack, all right? So there's a foundation layer and an application layer, right? So the foundation layer is I put here you have ChatGPT, and that's just the granddaddy of them all. They were the fastest app to 1 billion users since TikTok and Facebook. Like nobody's done it this fast. So ChatGPT is the big granddaddy of all of this, and it's good. ChatGPT 5, I like it more than ChatGPT 4. Knowing how to use it is important. Then you have Gemini. So Gemini is Google. And Gemini is the one, this app here, Gemini is the one that if you go to gemini.google.com, all the videos and stuff you're seeing now, more than likely are created with Google Gemini. Let's see if I have one available to show you. Let's see. I don't know if you guys seen like baby podcast videos or like if you guys saw Moses parting the Red Sea, that's actually one I made. So in viral, which was kind of cool. But these are some videos you can make with Google Gemini, right? So podcast, Italian brain rot, and even here, this is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. This is Moses parting the Red Sea. I mean, there's some really cool stuff you can do with Google Gemini. And Google Gemini is just a great space to jump into and utilize as a large language model. Claude. So if you're looking for the most ethical, they pride themselves on being an ethical AI tool. The most human, if you will, most human-like writing AI tool is going to be this tool called Claude, Claude. Now, if you're Claude to me is open source. I love using Claude. My wife uses Claude. I use ChatGPT more just because I've used it longer. I've used it for like 4 years now. So it just knows more about me. But Claude, if you're just starting out and you're using it for writing, Claude would be great. And Claude is not going to give you those stupid dashes and emojis like all y'all that be using ChatGPT and putting it on Facebook. get rid of the dashes and emojis, but Claude is not going to do that to you. So that's the three I would recommend using. On the other side are these three. Now, I don't like these three. Be very clear. I don't prefer using these three, but they exist. Grok, Elon Musk. I don't even want to talk about it. DeepSeek, China. It's open source. Everything you put in there is out there. And then Meta. So Meta is Facebook. Now, they just spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build a super intelligence AI team about a month ago. So they got something up their sleeve. I don't know what it is, but your Meta, your all those games you'll be playing on Facebook and all that silly stuff you're doing on Facebook, you are training Meta's AI tool. It's open source. You can access it too. It was good about 3 years ago. It's not anymore, in my opinion. If you're going to use a tool, I would use one of these three. I wouldn't use one of these three. And let me tell you this, every little like app you have out there that you get, like you need to try this, you need to download this. They're all based on these, right? There's about 20 large language models, right? As base models, foundational models that people use. And every one of these apps that you get are just building on with some proprietary code, building upon those apps, right? So instead of buying 50 tools, I would just go to the foundation layer and build your own, right? So that's the foundation layer. Then you have the application layer. So this is the fun stuff, right? So you can make videos and movies in here, but now the application layer is getting to things like multimodal AI, where you can do video, images, do the work for you type stuff. So here you have video. So HeyGen is a great video tool. I have a partnership with them. We're building full-fledged separate language campuses for churches. We just launched yesterday Friendship Espanol, where it's my sermon redone in Spanish to reach it. Our 31% of the people in my city speak Spanish. And so if we're going to be the church for our city, I can't just reach one demographic of people. And so we built a whole online campus instead of my hiring change. So think about this, right? So my hiring went from hiring a Spanish pastor to hiring a Spanish psychologist or therapist who can actually do pastoral care and engage with people and greet people. So it went from hiring someone who can preach to went to someone who can hire someone who can talk to people. It's kind of cool. Hayu and Hydra are also other tools that can do video. So those are video. So if you're making video, I would recommend one of these three. If you're making images, I'd recommend Canva or Midjourney or DALL-E, which is built into ChatGPT. Canva, if you use Canva as a church, reach out to Canva. Churches get Canva for free. So I would just reach out, Canva for nonprofits. If you want to make PowerPoints, Gamma comes in. And so Gamma.app is the best PowerPoint maker on the market, which you guys see I have nothing else up here because all the other ones are scams. So the best PowerPoint maker on the market is Gamma. And if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I do reviews of apps all the time. So I do reviews of these like literally AI tools you should not use. So the tools I'm not telling you about are because I've tried like hundreds of tools, so you don't have to try all of them. For productivity, for research, Notebook LM is a great tool. So my church uses this to write Bible studies. So they have all my sermons from a series, and they use this to write their Bible study from the sermon. Or Sana is a meeting attender, so attends meetings for me and does work. And then research. So I'm gonna ex Pulpit AI off of here because they had a conference and didn't have a single black pastor on there. So I got mad about that. So I built a tool to compete with them called PastorGPT because that made me mad. Like, how you gonna have a church conference and not have one black pastor? So I got to change this slide because that made me mad. So I built a tool to beat them, and that's called PastorGPT. And so if you want to play with that, go there. And then here's Perplexity, which is a research tool. It's a research tool. So I really like Perplexity. So like if you're looking for a tool to help you do research for a sermon or research for a paper or research to give you sources, academic sources, all of that, I would use Perplexity or Undermined. Undermined is a great space. Even there's a new one out called Storm by Stanford, which Stanford said like, hey, our kids are using AI. We're going to help them. And so they built a whole tool with academic papers to help people do research. So that's where I would get started with this. So the main thing here I want you to think about as you use these tools, right? Here are the questions I want you to ask yourself, all right? So do this, have fun, but I need you to ask yourself some questions. Number one, what is the real problem that needs solving, right? Identify the actual stuff that needs solving before you go buy a bunch of stuff. Number two, what's taking up most of your time? Automate, 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 right? So the first step before you implement AI in your church or your organization is automating your processes, right? Automate your guest follow up. If you still got a secretary sending letters, you are 10 steps behind. Like automate, automate, automate. Then use AI to improve the automation, right? Number three, have you fully explored what the existing tools can do? So like most of you probably have Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace as like your main juice for communication, great. All of those have everything I just talked about built into them, right? So like Chat Copilot in Microsoft has everything like an email responder built in Copilot. Canva is built in Copilot. Like everything is built in Copilot. You can do all of this without buying anything new. So maximize what you currently do before you go buy something else. Same thing with Google Workspace. Go to Google Labs. Everything you're looking for is in the Google AI Studio. Before you pay for something, maximize it. And then ask yourself what do you want to do. So here's the thing about prompting. So everything then is based on prompts. Everything is based on prompting. So right now we have what we call human in the loop AI. Human in the loop AI says human has to be like in the loop. Like you have to prompt it, talk to it. It's not thinking for itself. But we're afraid of, and what Elon is working aggressively on, is what we call artificial superintelligence, where AI doesn't need a human in the loop. It just thinks for itself. And that's the scary thing that we don't want to get to. So prompting is where we are. So here's my 8 rules for prompting. Be clear, tell it how you want it to talk, follow up before responding. The trick I have here is tell it to ask you 3 questions of clarity before it responds to you. Give it a role. So like tell it to act like a marketing strategist or a pastor, like whatever it is. Give it a role. Provide feedback. Never take the first response. Never, because it's never going to be perfect. You got to train it. You got to have a conversation. Avoid multiple questions. Max your questions out of like 10 if you're asking questions, but I would really try to stay at no more than 3. But avoid multiple questions. Make it be creative. Make it make you think and make it think. And specify the tone. Tell it if you want to be playful, pastoral, formal, whatever it is. Specify the tone of your tool so that when it responds to you, you are getting back what you want. So like when I write an email to the church, my tool, my chat GPT already knows it's pastoral. So it's always going to include scripture, reflection from my last sermon. It's always going to quote something I said a week ago. When I write an email to my staff, it's formal, very clear to the point. It's very curt. Hey, this is what I need you to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow me on this. I'm going to have an agent set up automatically to follow up with them within 24 hours if they haven't emailed me back. Like all of that is already set in stone. So specify the tone you want and then allow it again to be your assistant. It is not a replacement tool. It's an assistant. And here's a principle I want to give you on that part, right? So it is, let me find it. Here it is. Instead of asking how AI will replace you, how can AI make you irreplaceable? Think about the things you don't want to do. Give it to an AI tool, like the emails, the foolish stuff, whatever. Like I make this joke all the time, and I'll be quiet. I have a member of my church who hates me. She just can't stand me. Like I could change the name of the church to her, and she literally probably would like get mad at me because the font wasn't right. Like she just can't say anything. Like every week she sends me a book how much she can't stand me. Like it's just like go someplace else where she won't. And so I put an automatic email responder to respond to her emails. And so every time she emails me, it comes in on Monday at like 12:30 weekly. I don't really care what. I could preach a sermon with her name in it, and she hates it. And so I have an automatic email responder that I never see the email anymore. And it comes in, it reads it, it responds like me and sends her an email back in 30 minutes acknowledging her response. And it always changes the time so she doesn't think it's automated. But it's just stuff like that where like there's certain things as a pastor or a leader that you don't need to be inundated with because it always like Satan always tries to find something. Beyond that as a person, then there's also other things too. So like emails for me during my office hours, I only get emails from my staff and my deacons. And I have it set where like only let emails in that has these endings, right? Or from these people. And outside of that, everything else gets triaged. And then at 4 o'clock, I go check my emails for anything else, right? For if it's community stuff, whatever, so that my work day is work and my afternoon can be like the basic stuff. So it's all based upon your preferences, but you can customize everything you want to do. So that's why, like, when it comes to fear, man, this stuff is already in there. Like you have like if you have Outlook, you have Copilot, and you're paying a lot of money for it. So I would maximize your use of it to make you a better leader. So that's my stuff on all of that. So
You
there
know,
you go.
this presentation is wonderful. There's so much. I know people's heads are spinning. One lady said it's overwhelming. Um, will people be able to go to your website and find a lot of this information that you're giving us?
Yeah, so I have a master class on this that takes you from 0 to 180. I wrote a book. I wrote handbooks for every generation. So it can be overwhelming. It is. And I've been in this, I'm in it, 30, 40 hours a week. But I have a handbook called AI to Z for every generation. If you go to my website, jrlester.com/bookstore, I have a handbook for every generation. So AI to Z for boomers, AI to Z for Gen X, AI to Z for millennials, AI to Z for Gen Z, AI to Z for kids. And
Right.
each one, the goal is to get you from 0 to 100 on AI. If nothing else, you can see what you currently have and use it.
Mhm.
Use it for content creation, use it to help your kids. The goal is to get you to use it and to understand that it's here and to make sure that it doesn't catch you off guard. Because if not, I don't want us to be shaped by the tools and we can be the ones shaping them. And so that's where I'm aggressive with it. And then just using them well. And so I would challenge you to do this. Spend 30 minutes a week, not a day, but a week
Mm.
playing with something, right? So if it's just like, I want to make silly pictures, make a silly picture and just see what happens. Have it proofread something, have it read something back to you, have it, I don't know, dub something, just whatever. Just play with some of these for 30 minutes a week. Don't log in if you don't want to. It's up to you. But take some time to see how this stuff responds. So at least you can have a conversation about it and be knowledgeable of it and not be surprised when, like, in 6 months, like, hey, there's robots walking around at your church and you haven't logged in at ChatGPT. And I've talked to probably some of y'all's pastors. We're working on buying robots. So I'm telling you, I'm in a robot movement right now to get robots at churches. Don't be surprised if by 2026 there's a couple black churches with robots. You can blame me for it. But
Okay.
that's where the starting point is. Just play. This stuff is nothing to be fearful about. And then if you want to build your own, it's so easy to build it. And there's a bunch of amazing black creators out there, and black technologists that are building black center tools. Like there's black is it black chat GPT or black GPT? I think it's blackgpt.com. And this sister built an amazing tool that is made for black people, black people as a general large language model. I think it's blackgpt.com, but it's an amazing tool to use. One of my buddies in Colorado, he built one. I forgot his name. I think his name is Jared or something. Um, and it's a tool built for black people to navigate like mental health. I mean, some really amazing thinkers out there that are
Mhm.
making sure that our people are not left behind. And I'm one of them too. Hope I'm seen as a good thinker.
Um, you said something when we were talking, or I don't, yeah, maybe it was when we were talking. You said something about the Chinese. You mentioned it earlier, few minutes ago, and how the competition is between the United States and China to get these robots.
hmm
You said Chinese want slavery. Can you explain
So
that?
not Chinese, are white folks. White
White
folks.
folks, okay.
White folks. Yeah, white folks don't. Yeah, yeah. So this is a much larger. So okay, Harry Houdini, 1919, came with a movie called The Master Mystery. The timing of it is so interesting because when you look at the timing of it, we're about what 50 years removed from the formal ending of slavery. Not talking Juneteenth or anything of that nature. And so people wanted something to serve in their homes. 1960s, there was this big movement for a company. I forgot the name. I think it's Ford or one of these big motor companies that people really wanted generalized robotics. Ruha Benjamin talks about this in her work, but like generalized robotics, right? They wanted something to come along and help them do daily tasks because white folk were just really lazy as they moved to the suburbs and they couldn't get black folks to do it. They were hiring us, all that, and we were in the middle of the civil rights movement and we didn't want to do this stuff anymore. And so that's where they were trying to get these in-home robots. When you look back on this in the 50s and 60s and 70s, this was the first time you saw a lot of the wealthy getting these in-home machines to help them do basic daily tasks. So fast forward over the course of time, one of the big statements that she makes and other researchers have made is that robotics are really responsive to slavery. They just really, white folks are so lazy. They just, I mean, this is me Lesterizing this now. White folks are so lazy. They just really, really want something to do work for them. And so that's where even like this deportation movement right now is they won't fit into our box to do what we don't want to do. So now we got to make these robots. And so that's why it's not surprising to see $26 billion dedicated over the next 2 years to make robotics and not just any type of robot. Like I want to be really careful. Look at these robots. They're trying to make humanoid robots, like literally replacing people for a reason that does basic things. Like these robots could do amazing things. Think about what robots could actually do. They could train, they can teach, they can build, they can sustain, they can build homes, like all this. And we want robots to fold clothes. right? You spend $16,000 on a machine to fold your laundry. Like this is what I want us to see. We're trying instead of letting robots be robots, like just like robots, we want them to be humans. And so this is like this conundrum, just thinking about how people are using it and how we're building them and what the purpose of them and the root causes of the first time we asked for them. We didn't just ask for robotics to have robotics. We asked for robotics because the black woman that was raising your children was like, I'm not doing this any longer, and now you need something to replace it because you're too lazy to do it yourself. Now that's Lester Ease, but if you go back and do research on her, you want to look it up, you can find countless articles and books on the very topic of how, in essence, robotics is racist, which is a whole nother conversation we do not have the time for that I'm still doing research on. But if you come to my conference next year, so I do a conference every year called Theotech, and it's a black focused technologist and pastoral conference. This year we talked about just trends and how to use AI. Next year's all robots. So we're building, we have a Theotech Kids. And if you go to my website, theoxtech.com/kids, you can sign your kid up. We have a free training pace for kids, for black kids. So the only requirement is you gotta be black. So I'm trying to train up the black future. So theoxtech.com/kids, and you can sign up. And we're training kids on how to build Lego robots, and training kids on like what this stuff is and all of this. And it's all free because I'm just trying to see our first iteration of a cohort. And then next year for our conference, the focus is robotics. And so we got actually two self-driving car companies coming, which is really cool, and some speakers coming from across the country that are going to teach us on like robotics, understanding robotics. If self-driving cars are going to be a thing, I want to be at the forefront. So we did it last year. We'll do it again this year. So if you want to come out to it to learn more about that, we're going to really engage it next year.
Um, you can you talk to us for a few minutes? We don't have that much time, but Pulpit AI. What is Pulpit AI?
Yeah, so Pulpit AI is a tool that has been built. It's embedded in Subsplash that'll help you do guest follow up, help you do write emails, and help you get clips for your sermon. The reason I don't use them much anymore is they have done a lot of work, but don't want our church, like they don't care about, they just want us for their money. And so I got really mad when they had a conference, and they know a lot of people in this space, black pastors that are forward thinking, and they didn't include any black church. And the one they did, I think he worked at a white church, and they included him, and I got really mad about it. So me and my boy, we started building our own tools to do the exact same thing because it's not difficult to build. So that's why I built PastorGPT. So
Okay.
PastorGPT is the same thing as Pulpit AI, just for black people. So,
Okay.
so I just got mad because I'm like, how you gonna have a church conference on AI in black church and churches and talk about how like you for everybody, but put up something about Charlie Kirk when he died about how he was a martyr. So I built my
Okay.
own
Yeah.
thing. I built my own
Enough
thing.
said. That's
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Charles Sharp asks, can you give a quick overview of computer vision AI?
Wow. No, I can't because I wrote about it and off the top of my head, I cannot think of a way to make that explainable right now. So that's gonna be me pausing and saying like, no, not right now, because my mind is not there, to be able to explain that clearly on here. But thank you for raising that. And yeah,
I,
I wrote about it in my book. I know I alluded to it and mentioned it, but that's even something I'm still understanding and learning, as I understand more. But yeah, great question. You give me like 5 minutes, I could formulate something a little bit better, but I can't think of it off the top of my head to explain it to have a conversation, but not look silly.
okay. So if you were to, all right, so let's say you're talking to a group of pastors who came into, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say that pastors came into this um, critical conversation and they were skeptical or afraid or any number of emotions. What would you want them to take away from this encounter? Um, or would you say you need to come to more classes? Because I'm looking at the kind of
Mm.
thing that's overwhelming. What would you want them to take away?
Yeah, so God has called us to be
Mm,
stewards of every season. Every season. God called us to be stewards of every season, including this one. So steward it well. So what is God never called us? My mentor said this to me. He said, Justin, God never called you to change the world.
mm,
He called you to move the needle. That's it. He did not call me to change the world. I am to move the needle. So where is God calling you to move the needle? What does your community need on this? So for those of you who are in, like I'm working with a lot of churches in North Carolina, Virginia, the Baltimore DMV area, very progressive churches. And for them, they want to implement AI tomorrow. I'm working with churches in Texas who literally are just like, hey, work with our marketing team and talk to my executive pastor to help us out, like thinking through this. The Midwest, we don't even want to talk about it. Each area of the country is different. Our values are different. Our paces
Mm,
are different. So
mhm,
for you, where are you at with this? So if you are just logging into ChatGPT, like great, good for you. Now, are you 4 years behind? Absolutely. But I'm glad you're logging in to know what this is. For those of you who've already done all this, go build something, right? Go build something for your church. Build a custom GPT for your church. Build a custom space for your church. Experiment. Go train people. Wherever you are, do something. But I think the prophets have to stand up. The pastors have to stand up in this because somebody's got to pastor the folk building this stuff. And it can't just be me and like five other of my friends. It's got to be more of us that are standing up for these things not to be biased, to make sure that our children are not forgotten, to make sure the future doesn't surprise us, and that we don't. The worst thing that happened to us was 1999. We fearmongered Al Gore's internet and hooped and hollered and didn't get involved in all of the 90s until the 2000s. And then we just gave our culture away. I don't want this to
mm,
happen with AI.
mm,
We gave it away to Facebook, we gave it away to Black Planet, and we gave it away to TikTok. And now we're trying to catch up when COVID hits with like we didn't have cameras because they were so demonic. And then our theologies got shocked because like you got to be in person. And then COVID said you can't. So I think the challenge for us in this season is to steward this season well, steward this era well, and wherever God is calling your hands to go, go do it. So if it's 30 minutes a day, do it. If it's 30 minutes a week, do it. If it's making pictures, do it. If it's making videos, do it. Do something so that you are not shaped by this stuff, but you
mm,
shape it. And if we shape it, like think about black institutions, and I'll be quiet. Think about black institutions. Our institutions made schools, right? Our institution said if they don't want us to know how to read, cool. That resident theologian made up this thing called responsive reading, right? And we got up and said our folk are gonna know how to read, and we're gonna learn how to read through the scriptures that they're weaponizing against us. And we knew how to read. So I think it's an opportunity. Like we made like what culture do you know takes leftovers, throw some
mm,
cornbread on it,
mm.
and some broth
Come on.
and some chicken leg and calls it dressing, right? I
Come
mean, it's just
on.
that's what we took the
I love
leftovers, threw
that.
some
Yeah.
cornbread in it, and so we are so our tech like hip hop is
Yeah.
a amount as a combination of just all this like old stuff remixed, put together in a different pace, and here you go. Like so now, black people go be black. That's it. So that's
Love
go
it.
be black. Go
Don't be
go
black.
go be black. Like
I
go
love
change the world in our own black way because that's just who we are. And support the folk like me. If nothing else, support the folk like me. I don't need to come to your church and do anything. Share our posts, share the
it.
stuff we have out there. Support the folk like me who are on the grind. Like I meet with some folk at Google next week, and I'm super excited. But I need the prayers to go in front of people who really are trying to figure out why is the church using this, and not just us as a place for them to take money from, but a place that we can teach them how to steward it well. Pray for people like myself, cover engineers in your community, an untapped space in every one of you college towns at the School of Engineering. You find those black associations of engineers, cover them, pray for them, give them a safe environment to know that they're not crazy for wanting to be blurs, but they're super cool too, just as the preachers and the athletes are. Like they're important too. And so I think there's a lot of avenues that if you're like, I'm not going to use it, support the engineers. Find the engineers in your church and have them volunteer and teach people how to code and give away those coding classes. You'd be amazed why what people are trying to do but don't know how to communicate. So you have a space, steward it, and just be black.
Mm.
Just be black.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I feel like we could just do like a series of things because it's just so fascinating and it's a good feeding. It's a really good feeding. You said, this is my last little question. You said that AI can help us create embedded theology. And I just I don't know if you can talk about that in 5 minutes, but I was just, there's a lot of the things that you've said, I'm just been like stumped by, just like, oh, let's talk about that. Can you talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, it's putting our lives together and in fleshing the future right? And that's where I think, and like when I think about embedding, I'm thinking about putting something onto a site from another space and
Mm,
shaping it around what I'm making, right? So if I embed something from Claude on my, like when you guys go to my toolkit page, you're gonna see that I took something from Claude that I built in Claude. I didn't build it in my web page, and then I put it onto my space in my space, and I'm building around it, the stuff I'm thinking through, but there's some things I just couldn't do. And it's this trust in God. It's this reliance on God. It's this reliance on my community to trust that I'm trying to build. And it's also showing the fractured and fragmented nature of what I'm trying to do. And I think that AI is going to allow us, when I say be human, this is the larger picture instead of transhumanism. It's going to allow us to be comfortable with the fractures, with the dashes, with the figuring it out, because now everybody can write with the tongues of angels.
mm,
Everybody can create images that are look like Photoshop. But few people are willing to figure out what it means to be faithful in a very broken and fragile world, what it means to show scars and desire to be whole. And to me, I think AI is going to give us this opportunity to really dive deeper into the heart of God, to
mm,
understand who God is, and to understand that like it's okay to figure crap out and know that Jesus is the question and the answer in the process. And I don't need to have anything but to be, to trust him. And it's okay to figure crap out. So that's kind of where I'm at with all this. Like, you're bringing me back to like you're making me work a muscle I haven't worked since divinity school, which is so fun. Like, I'm like, oh my God, yes, like promulgation. Like, I just want to say big words. But yeah, so absolutely, that's where that comes in for me. So it was this notion I built upon it in my dissertation, but like, yeah, this notion of being comfortable with all of that as we figure out what it means to
mm,
follow God in a world that's trying to be God. Like to me, and this is my last little like soapbox since we're talking. So AGI and AI is the search for God. And by that I mean like we're trying to make God palatable. We're trying to make God in our hand. That's why we want Santa Claus. Because we want some jolly old white man to come down the chimney and give us gifts that we don't deserve. And I think AGI is this quest for like divinity. And I think without us coming in part of it and walking alongside people, I don't need AI to be my Jesus.
mm.
I got one that died for me and will restore in his own time. And so I think that's where all of this comes into like killing idols, trusting the Lord, following him. And my favorite hymn is trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus. So that's where all that kind of comes together.
Okay. Powerful. I do have a final question. Dr. Carruthers says, as asking, as we have to engage this era of the metanomic convergence of AI and genomic research, share a moment about your thoughts on competing mindset as it relates to what must be our ethical North Star or what it means to be human in the future. The mindset of Ubuntu versus the mindset of I think, therefore I am.
That is a great question. Okay, give me a second because I know we're live on Facebook, so I don't want to say anything silly that could be clippable. All right, so I'm gonna answer this the way that somebody asked me a question about data centers because I want to challenge churches to utilize their spaces to make data centers. Some things I hold in tension as I feel that we're at a space that we are creating a lane birthed out of both of those, the subtle intersections of those, right? And so I think right now, to answer your question, I would answer it with holding in tension what both of those mean to us and how we navigate towards a future that God is calling us to build. Um, and so for me, I would, yeah, I would say I'm holding both of those in tension and trying to figure out the intersection and where God is calling my hands to. And I feel like every person on this call would have a different answer. Now, if we're engaging this ethically, I think it's going to look at one, is ChatGPT or your large language model replacing your time with God, replacing your time with the divine? Number two, are you using it to replace you? Or are
Mm,
you using it to be an extension of you? Two, are you making your large language model wrestle for you instead of you wrestling? And three, we have to make a choice to do humanity well. Um, and I don't think a lot of us are choosing to do that. And I think holding that together, I think can get a really good answer. That's a really, really good question I'm going to sit with and probably write a blog on, and I'll make sure to tag you in it when I write it, whenever you rewatch this. But that's a really, really good question that makes me really think. But that's how I've answered about data centers and things like it's just it's holding some stuff in tension because I see the good, but then there's an intersection that hopefully can birth something beautiful. And that's kind of the way that I'm navigating answering your question without I'm not beating around it, but that's just kind of I don't have a never thought of that, but that's a great, great question to think through.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Lester. I appreciate this conversation. I know that there are a lot of questions that we did not get to. I did a little bit better in navigating them this time because I'm not good at it. So the ones we didn't get to, well, I think what I'll try to do is include the questions in the summary that we'll get prepared for you and send out. We will send, Loretta and Julie, correct me if I'm right. We're going to send this, this webinar will be available to people who registered for this. Registered for this, right? Just raise your hand or something. And we will do a summary. So everything that you've heard in here will be summarized, and we'll have websites and um, resources featuring Dr. Lester so that you can look at it and study it and then be in touch with him by visiting his website and all of that. Um, Thank you so much. I I could talk with you for a couple more hours because this is really fascinating stuff, but I really, really thank you. Somebody asked if there's a theological curriculum on this stuff. If there's not, there needs to be, and maybe
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I wrote a book on it called The Church of AI. So that's where I theologically engaged all of this. Like one of the chapters is literally is AI in the Bible. Um, so to that point, I wrote a book called The Church of AI. And if you want to engage it, I'm currently working on a book called The Black Church and AI. Um, Praise the Lord for publishers and editors. But yeah, so it's not AI generated. So
Okay.
you're not going to get a book written by AI on Black churches and AI. But yeah, so the book I wrote is called The Church of AI. It's my flagship. And that's where I engage this theologically and ethically and implications and all of that. It's crazy. I wrote it 2 years ago, and in probably a year it'll be outdated, which is crazy. But the theological parts won't be. Just the AI stuff will. But yeah, that's on Amazon and my website, The Church of AI, and that's my flagship, and that's the one if you're thinking about the engaging theologically. And I am in the final stages of signing a contract with one of our HBCUs to teach this. So I'm super excited. Hopefully, I'll be on staff by January if everything goes well. But yeah, so super excited to do this and engage this for 6 months. I love teaching, so if anybody wants me to come teach there, I'm there. But no, hopefully if this one school comes through, I'll be able to do it. But to engage this holistically for students to teach on AI and theologically engaging artificial intelligence. And there's so much there to have fun with. So yeah.
Good. Well, all good things must come to an end. I feel like we'll have another time when we have another critical conversation with you. We wanted to thank, first of all, Dr. Lester for his time and all the good information that he gave. I want to thank the staff who, I don't do any of this stuff. So thank you, Julie and Loretta and Reverend Marcus and Dr. Carruthers and Reverend Damien, all of you. Thank the staff because this is an effort of all of us. We have and thank all of you who tuned in and wrote the questions and presented us questions. I think I'm going to have a lot of reading to do when I go through the summary, but I'm happy to do it. And hopefully this session has answered some of the questions that you had and piqued your curiosity about things, because I know it's done both of those things for me. The purpose of these critical conversations is to talk about things that clergy persons don't often talk about. Clergy persons and members of their congregations, we just don't talk about it because we're doing, and we have to stop and be. And so this is a thing that I think helps us to stop and be. So again, thank you, all of you. Our 2026 conference is coming up Monday, February 23rd through Thursday, February 26th in Chicago. Register now. it will be a wonderful experience. And I don't know, I think it's going to be just a special, an especially important time for us to be gathering in community, because so much is being done to just destroy spirits and even the mindset of community. And so I hope that you will register. I hope you get off of here tonight and register tonight. Just register and come and tell your friends and family to come as well. And if you have any questions about this presentation, you can email me at susan@sdpconference.info, or when we send out the summary, you can ask questions that perhaps we have not answered. But again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Carruthers, Reverend Damien, did you guys want to say anything? Anybody?
We just want to say thank you, Dr. Lester. It's good to see you.
What's up, dude? Good to see you,
doing?
man.
How you
Oh
doing?
man, it's good to see you.
But you're
I'm
doing
great.
fine. I'm not asking you to ask you how you're doing because I hear and see how you are doing. So thank you so much for sharing. We look forward to continuing the conversation. This has been extremely rich. And what you're making me think about is really what would a conversation be like between Dr. Carruthers, who was an inventor of technology, invented a game in the 80s. So you would find her invention, Dr. Lester, quite unique in terms of what she did in the 80s. But a conversation between you, her, and Ruha Benjamin, an intergenerational dialogue with those who are futurists and those who are inventors and those who understand technology and who are raising a different set of questions, but also who are producing, as you are, right, producing tools and resources that are guided by what does Black theology look like in technology. So again, I just want to give my sincere gratitude and appreciation for you taking the time and sharing, been following, and I plan to be at Theotech next year.
That's super cool. Hi, Dr.
Thank you.
Crothers. Like, thank you for your I'm like fangirling right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, are you like that's Dr. Crothers? Like, that's awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
yes, that and like yeah, I mean, I would love to. I don't think I would probably talk with Ruha Benjamin and Dr. Crothers on the stage. I would try to because I'm like I would sit back just to hear from them. That's amazing. It's crazy. Like I'm in this season, and so I'm just gonna say this for anyone like in the room. Like, it's awesome to see people that I'm reading and like actually talk to them and see. So like I've listened to your work for years, and so thank you for all that you've meant to the evolution of like even the work that I'm doing. I'm drinking from wells I did not dig. Thank you so much. Like this is amazing. So yeah, definitely whatever it is, man. And, like the crazy thing, Samuel Proctor's conference shaped me well, and so anything I can do to assist with this, man, that'd be super dope. So thank you all.
Watch your mouth.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you said it. I'm just saying, you said it. That's right.
And the conversation will be available on our YouTube page and on our website and Facebook. So it'll be accessible. God bless all of y'all. Go to bed tonight with peace and strategy and confidence and encouragement on your minds and hearts and your spirits. Because we need all of that as we travel through this wilderness, this crazy wilderness that we're in, that we've traveled it before and we'll do it again. So go with peace and hope and encouragement. And again, thank you for being with us for this very important, critical conversation. Take good care. Bye-bye.